Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. I am delighted that you are joining us tonight. I'm Althea and the host for this hour. And for all of you guys that are regulars and joining in on the chat, I have a special surprise tonight. In a moment, I'll be bringing onto the show as a special guest, a friend and colleague of mine for many, many years, Craig Gingulis. And we're going to talk about a couple of his books one that just came out, actually both that came out fairly recently. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world and whatever else we feel like we're going to do. So the normal format of the show, as many of you know, is for the first little bit, I kind of talk about what's on my mind and heart. Instead of that just being me, that's going to be something that Craig and I will do together. Then I will do the readings that I always do and ask Spirit to come on for messages for everybody on the show. And those messages should apply to you whether you are live on the chat or whether you are watching the show tomorrow or next week or a year from now. And so that's kind of a fun synchronicity that tends to happen with the messages that come from Spirit. And then, as usual, we will open up the chat line to anybody that has questions or topics. But the added fun this week will be the questions can be for me, for Craig, for both of us, or topics you'd like to hear us talk about as well. So let's see if I can work the technology here. So fingers crossed, everybody. All right, I'm going to bring on Craig and see if I can add him to the stage. Hey, there he is.
Magic.
And we're here. Yeah, he's there. And where is here?
Sedona, Arizona.
Sedona, Arizona. Yep, beautiful place. All right. So, hi, Nilda. Welcome. Good, you're all here. One thing I also do pretty much all the time, Craig, one of the ways I start the show is I just take a moment to give some gratitude and a shout out to Chris Grizzly and Mary, who are the heart and soul behind the whole network. They are the people that produce and make sure things get out there. They support us, all the hosts, and they've been going through some challenging times. So we always want to send them some gratitude, some love, some good mojo, whatever we have. You'll see some of the people that hop on the chat. They've known Chris and Mary for years. And so it's kind of like a informal paranormal family that's formed over the years. And even though I'm kind of a newbie to it, they've embraced me and they come and make me feel welcome each week too. All right. So let's see. I guess what I'd like to do before we get into any kind of like deep dive on your stuff is just talk in general about mind and heart stuff this week. And I'll start and then ask you whatever, has been on your mind and heart, and we can kind of go back and forth. And some of this because we talked. So the first thing that's been on my mind and heart is bruises and the fragility of spirit and how things can change in an instant if we let our energy guard down. And if we're not paying attention, that's when accidents can happen. That's when the dark forces can kind of go, ha, 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 we got you. You weren't paying attention. So one of the things I like to remind people on this show, it's one of the, I won't say a mantra, but it's as close to one as you can get for a show like this, is shine your light, share your love, do your best to become the best possible version of you can be. Figure out what is your soul's purpose and do more of that, and try to have a kindness and a positive impact on everybody that you touch in your life. And try to have that as the goal. Understanding there's going to be oopses. We're human. We screw up all the time. But what makes it, what gives us peace of mind is knowing that we work hard to get back on track as quickly as possible when we do fall off the path. So those are the kind of things that have been on my mind and heart this week is, how do we deal with the negativity that's out there and not let it affect us too much and make sure we can still shine our light and do what we're meant to do here. So that's kind of my little bit. What's been going on for you this week? What's on your mind and heart?
Well, talking about the accidents and dark forces and all that, and we've had discussions on the phone. It's like if I'm talking to a friend and they say, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, which version do you want? Do you want?" I have a psychological thing that's attracting negative to me. Do you want me to say, "Oh, I'm on a planet that's teaching me lessons through hardships," or "Dark forces are attacking me and I'm just an innocent victim"? Which flavor would you like? So I'm looking at all those issues, trying to take responsibility for what's in my field right now. What am I creating? How can I lessen my attraction? So if I'm low on energy and I have herpes and it's blooming, it means I need to rest, get my energy back. So when things are happening like this, and my life has been challenging since COVID, super challenging.
Yeah.
So going through all these different phases, my final result is I'm going to just keep going forward. So
Yeah.
if I can't talk, I'm going to write. If my fingers hurt, I'm going to talk. So I'm just finding different projects to work on so that I'm always moving forward.
Yeah. So I guess I was bad to not give you a formal introduction, Craig. Obviously, this is Craig Gingulis. I call him a shaman, a Western mystic, a goofy teacher friend, ex-mining partner, a confidant, big brother, in a good way, not a watching you way. Although having you watch over me at times is a good thing. Yes, I see you do. I think one of the things that Craig has specialized, and I actually met Craig when I lived in New York and I was all of 24 years old. And I started studying with him back then. And so now I'm 63. So that's an awful long time that I've known you and been working with you.
Yeah, that you put on your resume. I handled
right?
Craig for 40 years. Yeah.
Well, not many years, 40 years. Good Lord. Next year, yeah, we'll have to have a celebration next year. We lived that long to make 40 years. But one of the very first classes that I took with Craig was called Higher Self-Discovery. And that's actually a book that he's just come out with, which takes the 40 years of culling and going through what are the best points of all the things that he channeled and taught for all those years. But one of the most important things, especially with what's going on now, that you've taught me and other people, Craig, is how to clear out your old crap. Because if you want to shine your light, well, if your light bulb's dirty, you're not going to be so effective. And so learning how to clear out the levels of the yuck are one of the specialties that you've had. And then the other side is once you've figured out how to clear that off, then he teaches you how to glow, how to see auras, how to be able to shine your light a little bit more. So that's what some of that's about. I'm going to do a quick, hey, Frank, hey, Roger, hey, Nolda, nice to have you all here. Thanks for tuning in tonight. So I think maybe instead of talking about the book per se, but if you want to hold it up for a second so people can just see, like, this is what it looks like. It's a really cool cover and all.
It's up there, but the light is shining in the middle of it.
Oh, I see. Yep.
I made a poster out of it.
Yep, you got it. Higher self-discovery. So if somebody was saying, like, well, what's the advantage of clearing out my gunk, or what's the advantage of cleaning off my light bulb? What would you tell somebody who really is, they're not used to looking at things this way. In fact, they're not even used to really being very self-aware. They go through their life, they go through their days, they get up, they do their chores, they go to work, they run their errands, they go home, rinse, repeat, more of the same. So why is it important to kind of clear out our energy and be able to even shine our light? What do you think?
Well, just in regular life, the things you mentioned, going to work and driving, if you're full of tension, you get into car accidents, road rage. So just getting the excess out, not being overloaded, not having static electricity, you can touch people without shocking them. You're not confused as much. So clearing yourself creates clarity. Mind, clarity. Vision is clear. So just to be a regular person, having old stuff in your way, projecting things onto other people. So if my mother, called me stupid, and someone says, "Hey, stupid, come here," and I start screaming and raging, it's inside me from when I was a kid. Right. So let that go. And now I see that the other person is just venting. goes around me or through me. To go into a brighter world, to go into higher vibrations, the more you clear out, the higher you go. So think of a hot air balloon. You take the sandbags, you drop them off, you untie yourself, and then you go up, and then you just put the fire a little higher and you go a little higher. So it is the fire, it's the light, it's love, it's healing, it's everything.
Now, you also have recently published, or in the process of publishing, I think you're in like one of the final drafts of a book called Ian that you've written. And I like Ian, from what I understand, I'm just going to kind of put my spin on it. But Ian is a trilogy of books, and this is the first one. Mm-hmm. And this kind of deals with like the awakening of somebody to the fact that, hey, I'm more than my physical body. Hey, there's another world out there of energy, dimension, whatnot. So it's kind of like part one is that awakening, that call. If we go back to the call to adventure of the hero's journey, it's somebody that's just kind of waking up in those beginning phases. And then the second book is like, okay, so what's going on what's been happening within Earth all this time? And as I grow, what do I need to be aware of this planet I'm living on? And then the third book is more of that ascension energy of the whole shift that's coming that a lot of us intuitives are feeling. And so this trilogy is actually a great analogy, actually, as a set, or metaphor maybe is better, of what's actually happening for many people on the planet today, right? They're kind of waking up, they're looking around, they have this. So I just saw something today about the government, Congress has asked the military to start declassifying all the stuff on UFOs and on the UAPs, alien stuff that they've had over all these years. And I'm thinking, that's cool, so they're kind of paving the way to let people know, like, yeah we're not alone. We've never been alone.
It has to be done slowly. People can't be shocked. Yeah,
exactly. So did I sort of encapsulate like at least the essence of Ian and what that is, and how would you help to fine tune that for somebody that's like, oh, Ian, let me check that out when it comes out?
Okay, now there's two sets of trilogies. One is the self-discovery. Then the next book is going to be about how to be a light worker, the bridge. And then the third one is about the actual ascension process for the person and the planet. So that's for people who will open a book like that. But, I also want to reach the person in the bar, or playing pool, or they're going to work every day, and they'll watch a Stephen King movie or a book, or, so it has darkness, it has demons. And I can take a person up into higher places, the Akashic Records, healing temples. I can also take them down to the darkness as a spiritual warrior. So I have this little boy character, very psychic, and the whole world doesn't accept him. Talks to animals, things like that, sees auras. So it's about the inner child awakening, which is like the same in self-discovery book. The second book, I got to do this quickly. The second book is really about what we call the end times, the Aquarian age, the rumblings on the earth of the ascension process. So the people looking down at the earth will see financial, social, environmental, and they'll see this sort of end times scenario. And in that book, I'm teaching about the alien contact, messengers from other cultures, ancient Atlantis. So I'll be teaching all that stuff about the earth. And then the third book is going to be the ascension, what happens after. So on the earth, there's mutations, and the character has to go out and it's an adventure, but also it's the other earth, the fifth dimensional earth that was created, like one cell becomes two.
Mm-hmm.
And the people on this earth don't know about the people on this earth. So you have two different worlds now, and the people who ascended, they're working in one pattern. The people who stayed here have a different job to do. And I personally, I volunteered to stay, as a spirit and help out.
Sure. Okay, cool. All right, that's what's interesting is both of those sets of trilogies, they will be addressing similar issues, but the way that you're presenting it will resonate with different people, whether they're coming in more from the spiritual side and aspect because they've already kind of awakened to part of their soul, or if there's just your, everyday person on the street that is kind of, well, I won't be calling it sneaky, but it kind of like, oh, look, they're going to read this and then have this opportunity to kind of go, oh, wait a minute. There's something a little more here.
Well, if you look at the hero's journey, not just is the news about alien presences every decade increasing, the movies, E.T., Star Wars. So this is one more lift for the people who are looking down and say, all right, here's a fantasy version of it. So if they're prepared for the movie, they're prepared for it in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And also I'm reaching the spiritual warriors with the fiction, and more the practitioners with the other series. Now I have to stay on the planet long enough to do 6 books.
Right, because there's healers, there's teachers, there's warriors, and there's most of us that are a little bit of all, and figuring out, well, in what moment, what hat am I going to wear, or which who's out front and who has the back, that kind of a feeling.
Yeah, so
to it.
Just a real quick version. This is the book cover.
Nice.
And down here is hell. Let's see if you show the journey.
Yep. Yeah.
Somebody going, that's hell.
Yeah.
And then the middle is a little boy. You won't be able to see. Little boy sitting by a tree. That's the regular earth. And up here, where you can't see very much, there's angelic beings in the stars.
Cool.
So lesser hell, earth, heavens, all in one.
Neat.
The child is in the middle of it all.
That's cool. Well, when there's also a correlation there to just how we use our intuition. When I've talked on the show before about intuition, I talk about it as the coherence between our mind, our heart, and our gut, right? We're given our intelligence, we're given our feelings and emotions, and we're given those knowings. And what one of our challenges is to make sure we start to operate from that true sense of expanded intuition that has that partnership and that coherence between those 3 places. So that is reflected in also that kind of feeling of the book of the as above, so below, and we're written in the middle, right? You want to have access to that higher self, knowing what's happening here, that awareness, and then that inner child or that subconscious side. And so that's, seeing that in books, it reinforces that, because when we read a book or watch a movie, we always identify with one of the people that are on that hero's journey. When I was younger, I identified with the hero. As I got older, sometimes I was the trickster. Sometimes I was the magical helper. Sometimes I was the guide. Sometimes I was the person giving the call to adventure, saying, hey, come, it's fun. Get into the water. Let's go for a ride, So I think that's part of it. One thing I would love to hear you define, because I don't think I've explicitly asked you that, is how would you define channeling in general?
Well, I don't channel generals.
Right. Stay away from those military people.
Yeah, they bring swords and things into your aura.
Right.
Channeling in general. All right, first of all, the main way I see it is you have existed in so many billions of lifetimes in other realities and planets that your higher self streaming into you and you being open to its influence and speaking and acting from it, that's channeling. Even though it's you, it's a higher part of you coming through a channel through the sprayer of the aura, the lower part of you. Then you have other beings, guides, counselors, like going to school, listen to your guidance counselor, that kind of thing, therapy. You have these other beings who are dedicated to helping people who are going back and forth between the realities, who are on developmental planets like the Earth, and they dedicate themselves. Then you have ascended masters who graduated from this university Earth, and they hang around to be the professors. So the ascended masters are helping. So I see channeling as you opening your personal system, which means the 3 brains, gut, head, and heart, and creating a wide enough channel so your personal stuff can be to the side, or go on a journey if you want, like Edgar Casey. I stay present.
Right.
I become sort of foggy or expanded and let it come through. So there's many methods, but it's you allowing something higher, more powerful, brighter, more loving, more having more wisdom coming through you to give to the world and to someone else. And you know what I used to say was, I'm at my best when I'm least myself.
Mm.
So the personality, the ego, it's still there, but it's expanding to let something channel through it, or it's to the side so it doesn't. It stays pure.
Yeah. Cool. I totally agree. So what I'm going to do right now is, before we had started, I said a little prayer. I asked Spirit to help me pick a few messages. So I have some cards to share messages for. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes to share those. But I was wondering, and I'm just going to plant the seed, see how you feel, because I know you have to warm up a little bit. But I would love to see like what message, if anything, you would get to share for the group. So whether it's channeled or whether it's just something that just pops in your head that I should share this with who's ever tuned in, whenever they tune in, just kind of add on to whatever comes through from what I'm saying here. So,
okay,
and if that works, great. If not, not a problem. No pressure. We didn't, as y'all can tell, we didn't like script any of this. We're just kind of going.
Yeah, I'll bounce off it, but also just let the people listening know, watching know, that I don't give messages and do readings like that, but I do teach. So I'll bring through information like I've been doing to your questions.
Right, exactly. All right. And before I jump in there, I want to say hi to Amy, who's joined us, and John. So it's remember the old romper room? I see Johnny and I see Mary. So I feel like on the side, I see people's names. I'm like, oh, hi, they're here. You know, it's kind of fun. All right. So this is the time that I usually share messages from Spirit. And so when you hear these messages, what you want to be checking in for is, are they making sense to your head? Do they feel right to your heart? Are they ringing true to your gut? Right? There's going to be something in one of these messages that should go ding, ding, ding for you because you're hearing them right now or whenever it is that you tuned in. And just for I'm doing this, Craig, I'm going to pull you out of the screen so they're just going to see me. I will bring you back on in a minute. Okay. So the first message we got is an angel card of relationship. And relationship says your primary relationship is with yourself and with God. And every other relationship follows from there. To attract, to heal, or to balance a relationship, you need to snuggle more closely with your loving creator. As you feel safe and loved within, so shall all your other relationships bloom and prosper. The next card is emergence. And this is one of the mandala oracle card decks that Craig had created. I talked about that in prior episodes. So this one says emergence. This is a time of dramatic changes are taking place. Awaken and step out into the world as the new you. Free your powers. Speak your truth. Be both vulnerable and strong. And then the third one, angel card, is celebration. And this says it's time for you to look for the joy, the delight, and the wonder of every day and rejoice in it. So when I see these three cards together, relationship, emergence, and celebration, it starts to weave a story together, right? So as we have a better relationship with those aspects of ourself, as we allow our true power and true self to emerge into the world, then we have a lot to celebrate. We have more and more positive impact we can make. Now, I always pick some tarot cards and I use the Aquarian deck. The first card I chose was the Three of Pentacles. And as you all know, this is the card that talks about the apprentice energy. And that when we get out into the world, we need to balance both our finances, our health, our relationships, our spirituality, our time, right? Those 5 aspects of self. And this card is saying, you know, I feel like I'm making some momentum. I'm finally starting to understand how things fit together. Then the next card is more pentacles, and now it's upside down, right? This is the 6 of pentacles, and this is kind of what's happening in the now, right? We go from what we learned in the past, and we're like, okay, I think I know what I need to do. And then we shift gears into, what's happening now? And as we've talked about in many weeks going for a while, it feels like the world is a little out of balance. And we have to be really careful not to let the drama, the trauma, the contention that's happening in the world around us come in and impact us and throw us out of balance, especially after we worked so hard to create that balance in our life. And then the last of the 3 tarot cards I chose from Messages from Spirit is the Fool. And the Fool, as you notice, he's holding a rod. So that also talks about the importance of listening to our intuition, that coherence between our brain, our heart, and our gut, right? Our thoughts, our feelings, our knowings. And the only time that we're truly a fool in the world is if we think we already know it all, right? The fool is actually the wise sage as he goes through listening to his intuition and having a positive impact as he goes through life. So those are the main messages that I have. I'm going to bring Craig back in to see if he has any 2 cents to add to that. Let's see. Are you still there? Hey, it worked.
Yeah, I like the combination you're using. It's like I'm sitting here with my tools around and say, wait a minute, I saw that picture before. I got that.
Yep.
And then there's the book.
Yep.
I know.
Gee, I wonder who wrote that book.
Yeah, so I wrote that book back in 1985.
Wow.
And it was revived by the publisher last year or 2 years ago, put in the package with the deck. Yeah, so the messages themselves, by using those 3 tools, what I saw was you kind of wrapped your arms around the person, held them up like you'd hold the child up at a parade, let them see some higher visions or versions, and then you put them back down again.
Or Mufasa holding up Simba.
Yeah. But there was a tremendous amount of acceptance in the way the cards work together. If it was negative, well, here's a positive spin or a way to deal with it. Very balanced approach to the 3.
Thank you. What always strikes me is how Spirit cracks me up, because I don't read them before I just read them. I don't look at them ahead of time to say, oh, I wonder what the message is going to be. I literally just pick them, put them down there, and then I look because I want it to be fresh. And it's amazing to me how more often than not, the very things that we were talking about leading up to, like what's been on my mind and heart or what's been happening, there's either a wrist slap or a hug or the combination of you get the hug and the kick in the butt at the same time. And you're like, okay, got it. It's all good. Yep. So
and when I looked at the mandala, I was looking to find the same one. I pulled this out of the garage the other day. This is the original painting. Nice. This is what Minio sent to me for me to write the book.
Okay.
So that's what I worked on. I put this in front of me, stare at it, and just meditate on it.
How long did you work with each mandala painting before you got some sense of a message that came through?
Well, I did it in 2 waves. The first wave, I put it in front of me with the perfect mindset. I don't know.
Right.
And I stared at this thing, and the second thing was, what do I have to clear out? I didn't say, oh, I think I will clear out my negativity. It was more like, oh, I'll say fudge. Oh, fudge. I don't know. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. It's just a bunch of dots. Those are all dot paintings. So I sat there, probably, to answer your question, probably 5 or 10 minutes for the first one. And then finally, I kind of gave up trying to do it. Right. And I just got messages. So I just spoke out loud with a microphone on my lapel and just saying, I see this, I feel that. So for the shaman card, I actually heard Native Americans dancing around the fire. And I heard a voice go, this is the card of the shaman. Oh, okay, I'll write it down. Don't need that tone. So sometimes it was a struggle. Sometimes it was just clear. And then I waited a year, went back and did it again without reviewing anything. Fresh start. What is this? What am I supposed to say about this card? And I did a second recording, so I had a couple of pages of transcriptions in the end. And then I whittled it down to what is this trying to say? And then I named them later on.
So I know there's the 64 cards broken up into eight groups of 8. Hey Ann, how you doing? You're live. Say hi to the audience. Woohoo!
What's up?
Okay.
I gotta put a propane tank in. It take me 1 minute.
I'll be all right. I'll handle it. Bye. All right, y'all. So Craig, as I said, he was one of my first metaphysical teachers 40 years ago. And over the years, we became great friends. We do retreats together in Sedona. He teaches in Japan quite often. He does a lot of really cool stuff, and he has several books out. We're only talking about a few of them here tonight, but he has a book called the Itty Bitty Psychic book, and it's like just quick little tips and techniques about things. Yeah, we have known each other a really long time, Amy. So you guys can start to think. You know the drill. If you're on the show live here tonight, you can write questions in caps or any topics. He's going to be back in a minute. So you can ask it either for me or for him or for both of us. And, we'll both kind of jump in to see what's what. I was talking to him the other day and I'm like, I've been doing this broadcast now or this podcast for, I think it's been about a year, maybe a little less. But I said, I never had a guest on. And I I wonder if I can do that. The technology's there. And then I thought, well, heck, he just put one book up on Amazon. And he's had several other books that he's had out for, 30, 40 years. So I thought, well, why not have you on and have him on to talk about what's going on in general. But he also has a very kind of a wise, I lived through hell and, survived so far kind of energy around him that gives him a lot of credibility. And when you sit there in a class with him or in a retreat, and he sort of brings down the energy and this kind of starts to, I'll call it glow, because I can't think of anything else that's a better word for it. You actually feel the energy shift. I remember one of the first times I took an intensive workshop with him. I've never done any kind of drugs. And I was like, wow, I felt like, I thought to myself, this is what being on LSD must be like. But instead of being out of control, the minute he stops with the energy, the visual effects of, the glowing or the walls melting or the dimensionality shifting, that kind of stuff definitely changed. So that's, when you've been working that long in the service of the light and doing your best to clean out your old stuff. And, the part of it's depressing, but part of it's, not really depressing. It's just the reality of it is we have so many layers to our individual onions of we have to clear stuff and clear stuff and clear stuff some more so that, it's like, yeah, you know what? We are those dirty light bulbs initially. And if we truly want to shine our light, we got to spend some time cleaning it off, right? We got to clean out whatever's down there. And it surprises me, years and years and years of working on myself. And every now and again, something surprises me. I'm like, dang, I thought I already had that handled. And yet the message or the lesson comes, big time. And you're like, okay, here we go. So anyway, so start thinking about what questions you might want to have for Craig or for me as well. And we'll open up to take those in a few more minutes. I think in the meantime, what I'll do is, since we're pitching his book, I'm also going to pitch my book. Not even pitch it, but I'm just going to ask Spirit, okay, what do we want to do today? And the page it opened up to is called Conscious Coherence. And I will read that, and so you can kind of feel the energy of that. Conscious coherence, like a board meeting of your being, when your goals and priorities align, you come together in diversity and strengthen the resolve of the whole. What will you do with your newfound power? Who will you be with this new awareness of yourself? Until it becomes as natural as breathing to express a unified way of being, you must choose So choose often and choose well. And again, this book was written by me, and it was mostly channeled writing. Whereas Craig is saying, sometimes when you've learned to open up and you hear the voice of spirit, it's like, okay, hold on, let me get this. And it was like it was coming through as fast as I could write it down. I tease and call it taking dictation from spirit, but it was messages and information that would help me. And the more I was sharing it with other people, they're like, oh, that helps me too, or that resonates with me, and that rings true, or hey, would you share that with me? And little by little, I kept getting all the requests. So I'm like, I might as well just put it all together in a book. And both my book and Craig's books are available on Amazon. So you can take a look there. And I see he's back. So welcome back. Hey there.
Yeah, is that the book that? Yeah, I'll tell you, the Great Adventure of the Barbecue Girl.
The manly, you were the manly hero there. That was cool.
I needed the husband points. Today's Anne's birthday.
Ah, yes.
And she made her own breakfast. I was going to make her a nice breakfast. I would take her out to breakfast. She doesn't like going out for breakfast. And now she's making the chicken because I'm doing this. So I blamed you. And and then she's making lava cakes, making her own dessert. And she doesn't want me to buy cut flowers. So I'm working too.
There you
go. Anyway, the adventure was this. Yesterday, I filled up the propane tank just in case. That psychic feeling. Look down here. Like, all right, let me do it. I was supposed to do it yesterday or last week, and today it ran out. The physical part is I had to go actually unscrew the thing, put it in there, test it out.
Right.
So that's how you blend the psychic and the physical.
Yeah.
And I just got points for it. So it's how you also save a marriage.
There you go. That's good. Well, that's true. It's true. You got to do what you got to do, right? And I think that's one of the messages that it's so important to get out there for folks. It's like we still have to live our life, right? We can shine our light and share our love and share our gifts and do all this other stuff, but you still got to pay your bills. You still have to deal with your spouse or your kids or your pets or your bosses or whatever, right? The community. And so I think it gets to a point where we have to be that bridge for, okay, folks, if you're too stuck in the quicksand of the day to day, let me tell you and show you and share with you what I know about the world of spirit. There's something, you are more than your physical body. You don't have to be stuck in that quicksand. And if you're on the other side and you're too like airy fairy stuck in the clouds, and next thing you know, like months have gone by and you haven't even said hello to your children, it's like, wait. Come back down to earth. What good is being up in the clouds? You chose to be incarnate in a body in this physical plane during this time. So stop escaping. Come back here, bring some gifts, bring your knowledge, bring your wisdom, but get back to work. Right. And so I think we have to be that middle ground. Right.
Yeah. And as teachers, we kind of represent the bridge.
Right.
How to go back and forth between the two. So, for example, in Japan, after I do a seminar, the hosts and their people, maybe a dozen people, they go out with the teacher. Oh, we're going out with the sensei, so you have this sort of elevated status. Right. I don't like heights. No. And I don't look good on podiums, Yeah. So what I do is I do it anyway. I order a beer.
Yeah.
And you can hear like, oh, sensei, beer. And they go down the line. He's drinking beer and relaxes everybody. Right. Or if they're getting, treating me too elevated, I clean my glasses.
Right.
I go and I get my glass cleaner and.
Right. Minions.
I teach inner child, so I'm allowed to do this.
Oh, for sure.
So it balances things.
Yeah. So some Amy in the chat said, besides swapping the propane tanks, got to get the firewood in too, right? More of the manly man stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I love campfires and stuff.
Yeah. And you have that he has this beautiful backyard with a fire pit. And one of my favorite things is sitting there watching the fire and then looking up at the stars and just feeling that beautiful energy and just kind of knowing like, it's very relaxing. Something about a fire. I'm not sure exactly what that is about, but it's definitely peaceful.
Well, I was just watching Ancient Aliens on Edgar Casey, and they were talking about how different people got their visions, and I think it was Da Vinci
Okay.
that would stare at a candle and get visions. One of them.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
what I did as a kid. When I was a kid, if you lit a candle, and I used to get yelled at for being a pyromaniac because I loved the fire. And when we were camping, at the Ace of Diamonds mine, we went together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would sit at that fire at night. I was at a campsite. And in fact, that was when everybody would come to, because I was up under a big tree and, all that. And I would just sit there staring at the fire. And I realized after being there for 2 weeks, I was doing the same thing with the television at home. Just sort of staring at it, but not being present, being immersed in the universe.
Well, I think that's a great point, because that also helps to legitimize and give people permission to trance out with whatever appeals to you, right? If that's sitting there looking at the water, if you live by the ocean, right? Or looking at the stars, or sitting there looking at the trees, or having a fire, or watching the TV, watching a baseball game or a football game or something in the background. Mm-hmm. And if somebody says, "What's the score?" You're like, "Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there's a game on," right? Yeah. You just kind of got sucked in. And it was just the launching point to kind of occupy your mind so that your spirit could go where it wants to go and get the information or the downloads. Right? You think that's kind of
where I try to live. Yeah. In between.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions for Craig or me, or topics you want us to discuss? If so, if you're live tonight, there you go. All right. So Nilda has a question here. I'll put it up there, and it says, Craig, what do you tell someone that is looking for the light?
Open your eyes.
Okay, I should preface all this and say I knew Craig from New York. We're both from New York, so there's a little bit of a smart alecky edge that might come through.
Me?
Yeah. So we can be wise and glowy, but we also have our little inner smart aleck.
Yeah, but now I'll define underneath that answer. If you look at all of the techniques, it's about expanding your consciousness. So there's more room. And if there's more room and you're not in survival mode, looking at wherever the darkness is, wherever you might trip over something, what you're lacking, when you expand and there's more room, you start to see the beauty that's around you too. Like when I'm worried and I'm driving in Sedona, going to the, to the store, and I'm in a rush, I don't see the red rocks. I don't see the beautiful clouds. So the first thing is to be able to change your mind and look through your eyes, whether they're open or closed. If you want to see the light, open them in a wider way, and the light comes in and show. Once you start looking for it, it knows you're looking for it, and it comes to you.
What would you define the light as? Like if somebody is like really just starting out and like, what is the light?
It's love. It's what everything is made of. Every star, everything is made of pure love, pure essence. And you bundle it, you can call it quarks or whatever. But yeah, the light is love. Power is that love when it's moving. And wisdom is the application of that love in a positive way. That's how I look at the package.
Cool. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we have Nilda asking a question. Althea, do you have any messages from Spirit for me tonight? So as most of you know, and Nilda says, thank you, Craig, for that. So whenever somebody asks from a message for Spirit, the understanding that we have is whatever that comes through for that person, there's going to be an aspect of that that's going to apply for you. Just like when I went through the cards and those messages there should have been something in one of those cards or the conversation we had that you went, oh yeah, that was for me, or I got it, or wow, I have to think on that, right? Because sometimes we're giving you just thoughts or seeds to ponder. So whenever, whether you're in a class or whether you're attending any kind of Zoom calls like this or podcasts like this, one of the things that you can do is instead of tuning out, like it when one person asks a question and you're like, oh, that has nothing to do with me. No, because whenever you're in a spiritual type class, the messages that come through are going to be, spirit will make it at a high enough level that it applies to most people. Okay. So the very first thing that popped in for me when I saw that, Nelda, was that just what to kind of pick up on what Craig was saying about opening to the light and looking for the light. And I think a reminder to you, because you've been so busy, like many of us, just go, 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 run, 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 feeling a little overwhelmed, feeling just the heaviness of everything around us, and just feeling that sense of darkness kind of pressing in, that realizing that you have the control and we have the ability to take a breath, to stop for a moment and shift our awareness. Remember, we can't control what's happening around us. All we can control is our reaction to it, our thoughts about it, our emotions about it, our reactions to it. So if we are proactive and say, you know what, I'm going to do my best to slow down. I'm coming from New York, that's not an easy task. Slow down, take a breath, feel gratitude in my heart, and open my eyes to see what blessings and opportunities and good things there are around me, that I can take and magnify those. So instead of getting caught in that quicksand or that whirlpool sucking you down and feeling like I'm drowning, it's like, okay, if you're ever in a riptide, what do they tell you to do? Don't fight it. Let it take you out. Swim a little parallel to the shore, and then you won't feel that anymore. So it's like, find that diversion, find that way to shift away from the pressure, and then you'll find your ability, your power again to get where you're going. So that's what the first thing that came to me. Hope that makes some sense. What do you think, Craig? Is that
well?
right?
I what I saw was someone in a scene giving birth, and I'm not predicting babies, so. But it was like when the contraction is there, and the husband is saying, "Oh, just breathe," and she wants to like strangle him, and the doctor is saying, "I've given 100, I've delivered 100 babies." Nothing is going to change her mind, her body. She's like in the middle of a contraction. People, the best thing she could do is just breathe and get through it. So there's times in your life where that's where you are, but in between, take advantage of those spaces. So when you do have 20 minutes, instead of pacing or thinking about the next 21 minutes later, what you're going to do, find that space in between, knowing there are going to be more contractions. And then once the baby's born, it's going to be a lot of work. There's a lot ahead of you. But right now, in this moment, breathe.
Yep.
Take time, find a moment, look at the stars, sit with a candle for 10 minutes, and then go dive back in. That's what I got.
Cool. You know what's funny? As you were moving your arms, I'm seeing your aura flash like crazy.
Sorry, let me tuck you
No,
in.
no. It's no around your hands in particular. I was like, wow, look at the glow around his hands. And that just reminded me that, we, with this technology, we can reach each other. I mean, we've done it through sending prayers and we've done it through sending energies. But I remember on one of the episodes, we actually were just playing like with energy, and it was like, okay, everybody take a breath and just breathe and feel the love and notice what you notice, right? And it was like people felt, wow, I could feel that through the airwaves, right? So it's a lot of it's about intention and just focusing on what we can control, our breath, our energy, our light. Okay, we have a question here from no, it's a statement from Amy. She says, I'm much better about planning. I used to be horrid trying to map out the rest of my life. Oh my God, you and me both, sister. And then we have to, our guides are just laughing and patting us on the head saying, yeah, you do your little plan. And I think, I'm sure you'll attest to this as well, Craig, we wind up getting these incredible diversions. Like we think we have it figured out. And we think we know where we're going, and we're plodding along. And the next thing you know, something is swooping in from left field, and you're like, what? But usually at the end of it, you're like, oh, I get it. And it's better. And it's something you couldn't have planned on, but it really served in hindsight.
Yeah. Sometimes people say, oh, my guides, guided me wrong. No, the guide said to me once, you told me to guide you, not to please you, not to tell you what's real. So if you're going to resist me, I have to tell you the opposite. If you're going for this prize, I have to tell you, yeah, it's there. Trick you if I need to, because you said get you to where you need to go. Right. So that's how I looked at guidance as those two streams. If you're listening or you're not listening.
Yeah. And we also have our soul that's complicit and every night kind of leaves us as we sleep and dream. And so our conscious self is like, I agreed to this. Wait. Let me see that contract again. And your soul's just laughing, saying, just shush. Okay. So Craig, we have a question from Amy. And she said, Craig, you said you are at your best when you are the least, quote, yourself. If I heard that right. Didn't that kind of sting a little when you realized that?
Yeah, but I realized that when I went to therapy, when I was working as a scientist trying to live in a corporation, and I realized I didn't like myself. So then when I took my first classes, I did hypnotherapy and that kind of thing, and I took my first class that had psychics and healers and all that, I realized there's more. So myself, my small self, the ego, the person trying to please my parents and teachers and mates and all that, that self would be in the way and would hurt people and do the wrong things. When I'm when I'm channeling, when something higher is coming through me, it's lovely, it's productive, it's wonderful. So it's when I'm being creative, when I'm in the flow, when I'm, expanded into the universe. So when I'm my greater or higher self. So when I'm least myself means ego, small self, compact self. And did it sting? Yeah, but I have a big enough ego. I'm a Leo and all that stuff. So I have a big enough ego. I can fix that part.
And I think after a while, we also realize our personality serves. I mean, with both of us, we've talked before, Craig, when you look at some of the stuff that we've gone through in our life, we're like, why the heck did I go that? Why did I learn this skill or tool? Or why did I have this experience? And then it wasn't until hindsight that we're like, oh, this really expanded my tool belt and my ability to help others because I've had all these experiences. And I couldn't see how they fit together at the time, but with a little bit of distance and then being able to apply them in different ways, it's like, I get it. Right? Something like that.
Yeah, welcome, Amy. Yeah, and it's like going to the gym. Yeah, you have the resistance, and that's what helps you build the muscles so you can do more. And the more tools we develop, the more useful we are, the more assignments we can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm sort of anti-AI. And I asked my guidance, what should I do? I'm now taking a 4-week AI class at Yavapai Adult Ed College. Yeah.
That which we resist persists, right?
And my guidance was very simple. It said, you're just learning to talk to the thing. Just learn to communicate with this new thing and make peace with it. Okay.
If you could believe it, we only have another 3-4 minutes left on the show. This hour just goes flying by every Thursday. I'm like, gosh, I can't believe how fast the time goes. But if somebody was to say, Craig, how do I deal with all the negativity that I see in the world around me? I'm a positive person. I'm trying to do good and be the best I can, but boy, it's really challenging. What kind of, I'm going to call it grandpa advice, but just wise, you've lived through a lot of shit. Oops, sorry. You've lived through a lot. What would you tell somebody that had that kind of feeling of, how do we just hang on and get through all this?
Well, the vision I had was of a kindergarten teacher at the end of the day going, and her hair went blowing up like that.
Right.
Well, it's like a kindergarten teacher has the right to complain about how difficult it was to teach all day with the kids with all their different personalities and conflicts and who threw up and whatever. So, yeah, when that stuff happens to you, it changes you, it trains you, and then you have to realize, why are you on the planet? Anyone listening to your podcast, they're on the planet because they're light bearers. And a light bearer becomes a light worker when they awaken and start taking action. So yeah, if you are here to be a light bearer, you're going to have to be trained. If you're going to teach children, teach other people, help other people, you need the trainings to handle all the difficulties, whatever angle it comes at. So yeah, you're here to teach, and it can be a pile of fudge. Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. All right. Any final question for Craig, you all? So now's your chance. Craig, why don't you hold up your books again? And so y'all, you can go to Amazon to get Higher Self-Discovery. That's available now. And the back of that book is the contact information for Craig, both how to look up his website. Which website are you using these days, Craig? Do you have one that's active or no?
They're both kind of stumbling around. higherselfdiscovery.com and craigginjulis.com.
Okay. So if you want to know a little bit more about Craig's services and his history and what he does, please do look him up. If you're ever going to Sedona, I highly recommend, or if you're in Phoenix, make the trip to Sedona, have a session, go to a retreat, get to meet Craig. He won't disappoint y'all. It'll be fun. All right. So you guys, thanks for tuning in. Please do all that nice social media stuff. Send the stars, ring the bells, subscribe, like, share. You guys know so much more about it than I do, but, do all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. And what's our standing homework, guys? We're going to share our light, shine, 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 shine. She said, "Oh, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much." Well, thank you, Amy. Glad you joined us as well. We're going to be the best possible versions of ourselves that we can. We're going to make oopses. We're going to be unconditionally forgiving with ourselves and loving. Go out there, be kind to others, have that positive impact. So at the end of the day, you can feel like you're more and more in alignment with your soul's purpose, and that your life, your legacy was worth every minute that you worked on yourself and worked to help and improve the lives of somebody else. Thank you all. Love you. Bless you. Thank you, Craig, for joining and coming on my show. Be my first ever guest. Woohoo. We'll have you on again, I'm sure, when we talk about crazy things in the world. And when Ian comes out for officially, we'll have you back on to talk about that again. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you again soon. See you next Thursday, y'all. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.